Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a truly very much a global gathering. Actually, our team and our speakers are joining across the globe and, coming from a multiple time zone as well. And, we are connecting from United States, from Switzerland, United Kingdom, Sweden, Denmark, myself connecting from Singapore. And I would really love to hear where are you connecting? If you won't mind, just type in the chat the locations you are connecting from so we can greet you. Chicago, hello. Wisconsin, United States, London as well, of course. It feels really rewarding that we are creating this global web of allies. At the end of the day, the world is very small. Hello, Netherlands. And our actions have a ripple effects in these vast oceans of consciousness. So knowing that someone really cares in North Carolina, it really makes a difference for someone in Nepal. So before we start, just few words, more of a kind of request. We have these 2 wonderful hours booked for this meaningful exchange, and although we are not physically together, with our intentions and being in the present moment, we can really transcend the distance and create this collective thread of loving intentions. So if you could dedicate this time and to withhold of multitasking, it would be very much beneficial for you and for those who we wish to dedicate this session to. So we are gathering on 28th of November, and what began as a single day is now stretched into over a week of manufactured urgency, steep discounts and psychological manipulations designed to make us believe that we are seizing the one in a lifetime opportunity. So the Black Friday or Black Week now could have no more fitting name. The black here representing a color of shadows, concealing what we are not meant to see. On one side of the spectrum, we witness the visible, a people caught in the waves of excitement, chasing the brief dopamine rush of a bargain and sharing their hauls on TikTok and Instagram. And they are driven by this fear of missing out, which really feels almost primal. But on the other side, hidden in the Black Friday's darkest corners are people whose reality is rarely posted and rarely seen and deliberately silenced. Therefore, we wish to dedicate this Black Friday to those who bear its true cost, those trapped in this shadow of this day built on the human suffering. And we acknowledge all who are caught in this web, consumers deceived into believing that happiness can be purchased, and workers unchained in this modern slavery. As a woman of a different faith and practices, we have been united by this shared purpose to cast the light on what has been hidden and to direct our collective compassion towards us silenced by this system and reclaim this day as one of awareness rather than complicity. And together with you, we wish to hold a space and connect through our humanity and turn this moment into what it could be, a globally connected group of humans who are intentionally creating a new reality. I now invite Joey to introduce our first speaker, Nasrin Sheikh.
Thank you so much, Vera. We're going to begin with an open faith prayer, and I'd like to introduce Nasrin Sheikh, leader of the End Modern Slavery Now movement, to hold this for us. Nasrin is an internationally recognized human rights activist, multimedia artist, social entrepreneur, and one of the most influential voices in the global movement to end modern slavery. Born in a remote village on the border of India and Nepal, she survived child labor, forced marriage, and extreme poverty. Today, she transforms her lived experience into a powerful force for systemic change. She's the founder of the Empowerment Collective, a 5013c nonprofit dedicated to ending modern slavery in our lifetime, as well as Local Women's Handicrafts, a social enterprise in Nepal that empowers marginalized women through traditional craftsmanship, and leader of the End Modern Slavery Now movement, which unites people worldwide each March the 8th and hosts this annual Global Prayer Day on Black Friday to honor survivors and promote conscious consumption. So a warm welcome to you, Nazreen.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you all for joining us from across the world. The Empowerment Collective welcomes people of every faith, path, and spiritual tradition to unite in a global open faith prayer, a shared moment of reflection, compassion, and collective intention to end modern slavery now. For the 50 million people still trapped in exploitation, today marks our first annual global open faith prayer held intentionally on Black Friday, a day that has come to symbolize unconscious consumption, a cycle that erodes human dignity and harms our planet. In 2024 alone, consumers spent over 24.1 billion online during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, according to the deep research conducted by our team member, Adeline Dabb. So today, now, I'm going to honor very few people that has contributed a lot in our effort as a humanitarian leader. One is our brother Bud Hobsons, and second is Parvati Shrestha. Both of them were humanitarian leader that we lost their lives in the experience of working on the ground, and how they were affected and impacted by the climate crisis during the floods and a lot of the issues. So the name of the prayer is A Prayer for a Table of Peace, and it starts like this. Today, here in this sacred moment, I align my heart with the force of all existence, with every name and form of universal unconditional love. I do not reach for this love as something distant. I stand within it. I live from it. I serve through it. I acknowledge myself as a living piece within all creation, not separate from life, but responsible to it. Today we unite in one intention of universal healing, not as a hope for our future, but as a shared decision made in the now. Compassion is our bond, and humility is the key that opens it. We offer our willingness to hear the pain in our own hearts as the voice of all humankind, and the courage to see the flaws of others reflected within ourselves. In this moment, here and now, we choose to see with one sight, to hear with one sound, and to speak with one voice, a single living choice, an unbreakable promise, and an invitation to all people on this earth to restore unity and wholeness to all beings, to nourish every soul with infinite abundance, to bring vibrant health, joy, and vitality to all, to cultivate love, compassion, and understanding in every corner of the world, to replace fear, greed, and hatred with kindness, forgiveness, and wisdom, to uplift justice, harmony, and to manifest a world where pure love and compassion shine through every thought, word, and action. This is our blessing. This is our agreement. This is our table of peace. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nazreen. That was absolutely beautiful. I'd like to now introduce Emma Sapala, who will lead a meditation for us, and I'll say a few words about Emma first. So Emma's a best-selling author, Yale lecturer, and international keynote speaker. She teaches executives at the Yale School of Management and is faculty director of the Yale School of Management's Women's Leadership Program. A psychologist and research scientist by training, her expertise is the science of happiness, emotional intelligence, and social connection. Her best-selling books, The Happiness Track and Sovereign, have sold tens of thousands of copies and been translated into dozens of languages. Zapala is also the science director of Stanford University's Center for Compassion and Altruism, Research and Education. Warm welcome to you, Emma.
Thank you, Joey. And thank you, Nasreen, for envisioning this beautiful togetherness on this day. I think what we're doing here is a beautiful counterbalance, purification of all else that's happening. So, having looked at the science of happiness for 20 years, I can summarize the research in one sentence, which is that the happiest people, who also live the longest lives because it impacts their physical health, are the people who live lives characterized by compassion, service to others in some way, big or small. It can be small, but it's an intention of compassion, balanced with self-compassion, right? We've seen people who do a lot of work for others, but don't take care of themselves and burn out. It comes together. And the ultimate act of self-compassion is meditation. So we'll do a few minutes of meditation and generate that compassion also through self-compassion. So let's close our eyes, or if you don't feel comfortable with your eyes closed, you can narrow them and look down. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. And just listen to the sounds you hear around you. Whatever sounds are there, welcome all the sounds that are there. Being at peace with whatever is going on in your environment or outside your window, welcoming it all. And bringing your awareness inside the body, just noticing how your body feels and honoring this body. This is our home. Bringing our awareness to the feet, the knees, thighs and hips. Bringing our awareness to the pelvis, abdomen, chest and back, the throat, the back of the head, the jaw, the nose, the muscle around the eyes. Relax the muscle around the eyes, the space between the eyebrows, forehead, and top of the head. The whole body, the whole body, the whole body. Filling your body with breath, taking a deep breath in, deepest breath of the day. And as you breathe out, purse your lips and allow the air to come out as if it were coming out through a straw. Deep, long breath in, filling your body. And blowing out through pursed lips as if through a straw, slowly. Long, deep exhale. And again, deep breath in. And exhaling as if through a straw. Relaxing any tension. Do this a couple more times on your own. And as you breathe out any tension, any sadness, anger, stress, all out through the straw. And again, deep breath in. And breathe out. And relax the body. Bringing your attention to the heart. And sending love to every part of your body. Any part of the body that's resisting or not smiling, just send love that way. And then bringing your awareness to the mind. There are thoughts moving through our mind all the time. Notice the traffic. Notice the traffic of thoughts. And welcome all the thoughts. Pleasant or unpleasant, all are welcome. All are welcome. Being at peace with whatever thoughts are there. And noticing any emotions, pleasant or unpleasant, embrace them all. Embrace every feeling, every thought. Embrace them all. Deep breath in with a smile. And breathe out. Remembering that you are peace. You are love. Take a deep breath in with a smile. And breathe out. Bringing your awareness back to your chest. And send love out to the world, to all the children, all the men and women, to all the animals, all the trees and plants, to the oceans and all of their beautiful inhabitants, to the whole planet, the whole beautiful globe, the whole beautiful mother, our mother, the planet. Embracing her and all of her inhabitants with love and gratitude. You are love. Deep breath in with a smile. And let it go. Taking all the time you need to come back to your body. To this moment. When you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes. And my prayer today is that all people can feel what we feel now, that all people embrace meditation and practices that help them connect to themselves, to awareness, to inner peace, and to compassion, that it may rayonate out to the world, and that all of our choices be guided by love, awareness, and compassion.
Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful grounding, Emma. So we'll move gently and softly into hearing from our next speaker, who is the wonderful Zoya Il Miari. And Zoya's going to speak to us on her topic, The Path of Returning, Stories of War, Healing, and Human Dignity. Zoya is a Palestinian-Ukrainian peace ambassador and storyteller. Her life journey has given her a unique perspective, having experienced 2 wars and becoming a refugee twice. Through these experiences, she discovered the transformative power of storytelling and the ability of individuals to shape their own narratives and the world around them. To share this vision, Zoya founded Waves to Home, a global storytelling movement aimed at changing the world through personal and collective stories. She's currently writing her first book, sharing her story as a message of hope and inner freedom. Zoya aspires to becoming a positive psychologist to help others create meaningful lives despite the traumas they've been through and guiding them towards healing. So warm welcome to you, Zoya.
Thank you so much, Joey, for this beautiful introduction. I feel so much present after the meditation, so much present with all of you. And I'm very deeply grateful to be here on this important day in which we are, instead of consuming, are giving so much love to each other and to the world. Honestly, growing up, I never imagined I would one day speak about modern day slavery or human dignity or collective liberation. My reality was war and displacement. Before I learned what freedom means, my body learned fear. And before I understood how it's all connected, I was living the loss of home again and again. So, as a Palestinian Ukrainian child, I was raised in a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon. My childhood was shaped by violence and ongoing conflicts, gunshots, bombings, shootings. This was my reality. And even if we acted like we got used to it, deep down, I always feared what if someone I love gets killed? In 2006, when I was just 6 years old, war erupted in Lebanon. My family and I escaped to Ukraine. It was the first time my family and I fled a war seeking a safe haven, our second home, Ukraine, and my whole life fit into one backpack. We eventually returned to Lebanon after the war ended, but life in the refugee camp remained very harsh. As a child, I was always ashamed because I had to live in one single room with my whole family for the first 15 years of my life. I was ashamed to tell my school friends that I come from a refugee camp because of the associated stereotypes, and because in that reality, I had to study in the bathroom at times. And at the age of 15, violence erupted once more, with bombs and gunfire shattering our lives, and our home this time burned down completely. I lost everything, even a small memory box filled with childhood photos that I had been collecting. And years later, in 2021, as the situation in Lebanon worsened, we decided to move to Ukraine. So we finally found stability. I can assure you that for a couple of months, they were happy few months. I was also doing the solo traveling, just like every European here does. And that wasn't for so long until the full scale invasion in Ukraine began, shattering us once more. But this time, as we were escaping the war in Ukraine and thousands of people struggled to get to the train that meant safety to us, my legs were shaking as I was terrified that something bad could happen to my family and my younger siblings. And in a cabin meant for two people, we found ourselves 12 people squeezed together. So, how one could find strength and hope fleeing a war and knowing deep down that at any moment you could get bombed with your whole family. And in that crowded, terrified space, my mom looked at me and said, Zoya, we should sing. And so we all did. We started singing Ukrainian folk songs, and with each song, our resilience grew stronger. And at that moment, I felt internal freedom. Not even a war could take it away from me. I knew if we make it out alive, I refused to become a victim in life again, and instead I would become a warrior and a fighter. And today, as we gather here to talk about modern day slavery, I want to speak about interconnectedness. Because when you grow up in instability, when war forces you to flee, when occupation steals your land, or when your home burns down, you quickly realize war is not separate from modern slavery. Conflict is not separate from exploitation. Instability is the soil where human trafficking, forced labor, and abuse grow. Where there is war, there's always someone ready to profit from people's desperation. I carry with me the stories of my grandparents who fled Palestine in 1948, thinking it would be for a few days, and now 77 years have passed. So it's these experiences that taught me that the systems harming our lands, which are colonialism, capitalism, consumerism, are the same systems harming our people. They extract from earth and they extract from human beings. And until we address these root causes, the violence of colonization and the hunger of capitalism and the instability of war, modern day slavery will continue to evolve in new and hidden forms. That is how it's all connected. When we overconsume, when we treat the earth as something to take from endlessly, when profit becomes more important than people, someone somewhere pays the price. And it's usually the invisible ones, the refugees, the migrants, children, workers who have no choice, and women with no protection. So my story is not separate from modern slavery. None of our stories are. And this is why I chose action. In Switzerland, after fleeing 2 wars and becoming twice a refugee, I started sharing my own story and realized how storytelling became my weapon, a healing power I started to use to collect the shattered parts of my own story. And through this, I realized how deeply the world needs safe spaces, spaces where shame dies, where stories are heard and seen, and where cycles of violence can end for new cycles of life to begin. So I founded Waves to Home, a global storytelling movement for every human who was forced to leave their homes behind, rooted in safety, collective healing, and resilience. Because the moment someone speaks their truth in a safe space, they reclaim power from systems meant to silence them. Storytelling brings inner liberation, and with inner liberation, we can liberate ourselves from systems that exploit us and set ourselves free. This too is a step toward ending modern slavery, restoring the humanity that exploitation tries to erase. But ending modern slavery also requires us to look at ourselves as consumers. War destroys stability, and capitalism exploits instability, and consumerism feeds on both. So, on days like today, Black Friday, the world is told to take, 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 without asking from whom, under what conditions, or what at what human cost. So, what if this Black Friday looks different? What if instead of consuming, we choose to give? What if instead of buying more, we choose to open our hearts more? What if we demanded transparency in every product we touch so no human being remains invisible in the shadows of this supply chain? This is what active hope means to me. Not hope that is passive, not hope that waits, but hope that acts, hope that transforms, hope that refuses to accept exploitation as normal. I am reminded today of this hope that we carry, not only the hope that lives within us, but the hope we receive from the people around us. I am reminded of my friend Ahmed from Gaza, who lost more than 60 of his close friends during the ongoing genocide, yet still tells me and talks to me every day about the sunsets, the sunrises, and the sea, the things that occupation can never take away. I am reminded of my family in Ukraine who continue to find inner strength despite everything they face. And I am reminded of my friends in Lebanon who kept dancing for life even while their towns were being bombed. So if they have hope, then how can we lose ours? Every time we speak up, every time we create safe spaces, every time we choose dignity over convenience, we become part of a global movement led by grassroots leaders, survivors, young people, mothers, refugees, workers, people who carry both pain and also love, light, and hope. We become part of a global community of liberated souls who are liberating the world around us. And so, as we come together in prayer, a prayer of action, I want to end with my intention. My prayer is that we transform pain into purpose, that we move from passive hope to active hope, that we build systems rooted in dignity and not profit, that we choose giving over consuming, that we see every single human's life as sacred, and that one day every human, no matter their story, no matter their passport or their past, gets to live free, free in body, free in spirit, free in dignity, free in truth. So here's the collective liberation, collective healing, and freedom for every oppressed human, freedom for all, because no one is free until we all are free. Thank you.
Wow. Zoya, thank you so much for your very beautiful and humbling story. and for your work in bringing others together to share their own, and for your beautiful prayer of liberation. So as we take a breath here together, just to let this beautiful story and prayer settle in us, we're going to transition just gently to receiving our next speaker, who is Osolo de Castro. And Osolo is going to speak to us about the issue of modern slavery and Black Friday. So Osolo is an internationally recognized opinion leader in sustainable fashion, a mentor, curator, and author. Her multi-award-winning brand, From Somewhere, was pioneering at the field of upcycling and sold in some of the world's best boutiques. Her collaboration includes collections for Tesco's Clothing, Robe de Capa, Topshop, and Speedo. In 2006, she started Aesthetica, the highly acclaimed sustainable fashion showcase at London Fashion Week, which she has recently reformed. And in 2013, she co-founded Fashion Revolution, now the world's largest fashion activism movement, with teams in over 80 countries. So a very warm welcome to you, Osolo.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you all here, and I'm feeling I was super relaxed, and then now, of course, it's my turn. So I'm no longer. I'm feeling a little shivered. I also wrote I think I didn't send you quite an updated bio. I also wrote a book called Loved Clothes Last, and really my speech, my life, my love, after many years of activism and berating fashion brands for their unsustainability, unkindness, inconsideration. At the end of the day, what's left in my hands is mending. And it is something that has given me more hope and joy than all of the fashion activism and revolutions I have ever had the honor and the privilege to walk alongside so many other people. And today it's Black Friday, and to me, it's enemy number one, because it's a lie. And with Fashion Revolution, we really worked towards being accurate and not sensationalistic. So the fact that we are all taken in by this ride that takes us absolutely nowhere but somewhere horrible, and that when we look back, we know it originates somewhere equally horrendous, I feel like just staying put, and all I've done today is crochet. But as this is a prayer, I would like to go through a little meditation with you. You can do it with your eyes closed or with your eyes opened. But this is about being inside the clothes that we are. Take a few seconds to be inside your body. Acknowledge the flesh, the bones, the muscles. I mean, we've done it brilliantly just before, so you're still in there. Feel the tension softening, the giving and taking of your breath. And then gently move your attention to the clothes you are wearing, the veneer that covers you, your chosen skin. Feel the weight of the fabrics, the textures, the seams, how they hold you, adorn you, warm you, protect you. The only barrier between your nudity and the rest of the world. Did you check the label to see what they are made of? Think of the components that make up the fabrics you swathe yourself in. Visualize the ground from which they originated as resources from the earth, extracted, fed from, seeded, and think of the earth they return to as clothes when you wear them, the fluff in the tumble dryer, those pesky hairs from your woolen scarf, and when you wash them, white bed sheets turned pink. Imagine their degrading journey when we collectively dispose of them into landfills so huge that they are visible from space, or when they are incinerated, bring grey smoke in our blue sky. If your clothes contain polyester and other synthetic materials, they will continuously shed plastic microfibers with every use and every wash, taking centuries to degrade harmfully into an already wooden, overburdened planet. Inescapable plastic particles in the deepest ocean, on top of the highest mountain, and inside you. And if you prefer natural fibers like wool or cotton, how long is it since that wool was on the body of a sheep, before the chemical processes that changed it from hair to yarn to jumper in a store? Or that cotton, how many pesticides did it require when it was a thirsty, growing plant? As natural fibers, they may be biodegradable, but as items mass-produced in their millions, treated with pollutants and toxicants, what else do they bury into the soil as they decompose in a landfill far away in another woman's land? What do they bury in your body when you wear them? Do you choose your shades to complement your skin tone? Feel your skin, be in it. The largest organ in the body and the second most absorbent. Skin breathes in and sweats out, in and out. And whatever is next to it is a part of that cycle. What's hidden in your favorite colors? Will the harmful chemicals from the dyeing treatments wash out in our public waterways after we've worn them, next to our skin? Or are they the forever kind, trapped into the fabrics of our daily lives? Pervasive chemicals, undisclosed substances hidden in some of our everyday clothes, closely guarded secrets of an unregulated industry allowed to hide its ingredients as well as its injustices. Our refineries that cost so little money, costing so much to the earth. Do you know who made your clothes? Not the designer or the brand, but the people who touched them before you did. The hands that sewed the hemlines, the side seams, the darts, running on your body like outside veins, constructing the clothes that construct your identity. Connect with those people, see them. Garment operators, technicians, experienced seamstresses, working obscurely in a supply chain far, far away, or in one much closer to home. Do they go to sleep securely at night and soundly? Or do they worry for their health and safety the next day and every day after that in workplaces that might deny them their fundamental human rights? Can they expect and demand a living wage to support their families? Have you ever wondered where your money goes when you shop? Imagine how precious it would feel to know that your affordable clothing affords garment workers dignified living standards, and that your quality designer pieces guarantee quality of life to the people who make them. Imagine the satisfaction of knowing that what you buy doesn't just benefit the brand's oligarch owner at the top, but enriches all of the people who worked hard making his money. Reconnect intimately with the clothes you are wearing, the ones you chose or grabbed this morning. How long have you had them? How often do you wear them? Do you clean them according to their needs? Lovingly sniffing for odors, checking for dirt marks and stains? Or do you shove them in the wash at whatever degrees after picking them up from wherever you left them, be it neatly on a chair or scattered on the floor? Do you love them enough to mend them, restoring them when they break, picking them up if they are falling apart? They do that for you when you're ill and they make you feel cozy, when your confidence is shattered and they make you shine. You could try by yourself. It's only a needle, a thread, and an intention. Or you could trust a skilled professional to mend what you broke. Repairs are like badges of longevity, your commitment sewn in like a tattoo. I know the place I'm taking you is forlorn, that this is an uncomfortable meditation, but there is great solace in doing small things right. Our clothes are our responsibility. why we buy them, the way we care for them, how we dispose of them, these are our choices. We must make them with people and nature in mind. And my prayer would be that every day we feel the power of the small things that we can do, that every day we are grateful to the people who make our clothes, that every day we consider in what conditions those people are. If we believe in the power of prayer, then those everyday thoughts go a long way towards connecting you with your ethics and with your love. I like to start first thing in the morning with my activism, looking at my own clothes and ensuring that at least those choices I make with my heart full of love and respect. Thank you for inviting me to this gathering.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Osola. Let's just take a moment to let your prayer and your voice really land here. Many hearts and hands of gratitude flowing in the chat right now. Thank you for your passion for this potent wake-up call and for your courageous voice.
Thank you.
So I'd now like to introduce Malaika Oringo, who will speak to us about survivor leadership. Malaika from Uganda is the founder and CEO of Footprint to Freedom, a survivor-led organization that believes the only way to eradicate human trafficking is by giving survivors a voice and the opportunity to lead. She's also a member of the International Survivors of Trafficking Advisory Council. For the past 17 years, Malaika has been intensively involved in the fight against human trafficking as a representative of the Salvation Army at the EU Affairs Office in Brussels, and more recently as a global consultant on anti-human trafficking efforts. So welcome to you, Malaika.
What an honor to be part of this global community, not only in prayers, but in solidarity, and also staging our anger, our sorrow, our manifesto for people around the world who might not know our name. I'm so honored to be in this presence and also to practice some meditation. It's one of the things that I'm on my bucket list. I'm so glad that I've been part of this experience. Whatever has been said by the current speakers resonates with me very well, as it has been mentioned that I started entering the anti-human trafficking work as early when I was as young as 17 years, with only one mission: to make sure that no other girl can go through what I went through. Although today we're looking at human trafficking in the garment industry, my experience and my work has made me interact with people with different forms of exploitation, from sex trafficking, from organ trafficking, from forced criminality, from child surrogacy to child marriage, to forced displacement. But the thing about all these stories is that the drive to exploitation is the lack of accountability, the lack of community acknowledging, and the lack of continuous support of the people that end up being in the cycle of exploitation. I took survivor leadership because somebody had to take a stand. And to take a stand, I realized it requires a community. And why today I wanted to just focus on the essentialness of survivor leadership. Footprint to Freedom, as it's mentioned, is a survivor-led organization that is focusing on empowering survivors to take the stand against human trafficking, to participate in prevention, to grassroots advocacy, but at the core of our work is empowerment. As if the survivors on this call, as many as we are, we understand it takes more than justice for a survivor to stand up. It's years of restoration, years of mental health support, years of standing up and falling back up and up again to become somebody who could be part of the community. And in that to happen, it requires really a sustainable community of survivorhood that can help you go from one step to the other. Footprint to Freedom gave survivors this space to grow, to learn, to share. But in so doing, we realize that we cannot do that without dealing with our mental health. One thing about being a survivor leader is that the only value at the time, and it's still going on, we add on the anti-human trafficking is our trauma. Because most of the time, survivors are people coming from marginalized communities. They do not have a set of tools or skills to add to the research or to be academia or to be PhD personalities. All they have is their story and their truth. Their truth has been a currency for newspapers, a currency for marketing, a currency for donation. And that currency not only has raised awareness, but has been a red flag, changing the perception, not only in consumer behaviors, but also the red flags on how to deal with survivors, but what is survivor leadership all about? How can we really empower survivors? How can we press respect and dignity to survivors so that in their shield of survivorhood, they could be part of the stakeholders. They could hold it as a badge of honor to support others. So Footprint has done that. We've supported them in different ways. One, through a community, as I mentioned, we've expanded our reach to the African Survivor Coalition. The African Survivor Coalition is a network of survivor leaders across 21 countries across Africa, and we hope to scale our impact to 54 countries across Africa. My colleague Eric will put the website on the link. The reason was there's been deficit. As I mentioned, survivor leadership was still undermined. Now we created an army of more than 45 survivor leaders working on not only working with institutions like UNODC, who are big players in the current Voice of Resilience. I don't know, some of you attended it in UNODC in Vienna, where we're really talking to different stakeholders. What are the actual gaps in some victim support? What does protection look like? We also, through our Survivor Academy, which is online, we've empowered survivors to participate in research. There are PhD holders here, or academians, or people who are writers who write books, articles that they need to leverage on survivor experience. Our academy has equipped survivors to tell their story with dignity. I had to fall a victim of that years ago, where I didn't know how to protect my story. I did not protect my trauma, where my trauma was only used to promote their agenda, but not to promote me. One thing about our leadership motto is you heal fast before you lead. We have a project called Handprint to Freedom, where we focus on wellness. We focus on mental health in a culturally responsible way. Coming from Africa, we understand most of the resources come from the West. We had to decolonize resources where we look at healing embedded in spiritual healing, embedded in community, embedded in our ancestry, embedded in what resonates with us as African. So we've been able to take charge of our own destiny, take charge of resources so that they speak our truth and to resonate with us. One thing that also experienced or what I've leveraged with being part of the community I created is the sense of community around me. I know they think they leverage on me, but they've made me, I feel sometimes it's so lonely. Sometimes you feel defeated trying to change systems where exploitation is embedded in everything we consume. For example, I live in the Netherlands where sex trafficking is institutionalized, where you have to fight the demand of sexual service, where the sex lobbyists are also fighting for the rights of prostitution as work. But creating a community around me helped me have a collective baggage that not only do I bring my own wisdom, the wisdom of others. With Footprint to Freedom, we've expanded our voices, our resources, our anger, our passion across the globe. That's where I met Nasrin also to share our vision. We want to work across the globe. We want to work with our other partners. We want not only to expose the gaps in victim support, but also what is needed to stop human trafficking. As I work with Salvation Army, one of our month is September. We dedicate a month of prayers for survivors. We call it the Day of Prayer. Salvation Army exists in 134 countries, which means that we have a consistent messaging across the 135 countries praying for survivors. And make it even more survivor intentional. Survivors write these prayers for other survivors. So it has been helpful to understand that for us to win this fight, survivors have to be at the center. Our stories, our trauma, our resilience have to be invested in, has to be recognized as expertise. In line for our discussion today, before I sign off, we understand that human trafficking is the end result of vulnerabilities that are not answered or under-resourced. We've also realized that in order to tap in to end modern day slavery, we're not going to look at only issues that have impacted us directly. In Footprint to Freedom, we have a project called Tries to Treasure. In our small beginning, we embedded with the community, worked with the community and survivor leaders to collect non-reusable garments, and we turned them into carpets and turned them into I don't have some stuff with me. We make handbags. We make a lot of tools out of wasted things. This means that survivors are also wanting to be part of the solution. And if you are out there and you have skills that you want to partner with us to grow into our collective extended solutions to end human trafficking, you're more than welcome. So this is my last prayer. This is mainly for survivors out there. I know it's very hard for you to hear this, but you're not meant to carry all the scars in the world. We carry the burden, we carry the pain, we carry the suffering of every individual. But we need to take care of ourselves first. As the airline says that you need to put on the mask on yourself before others, please invest in your mental health. And prayer is for those survivors who did not make it to tell their story. It's understudied, but a lot of survivors and victims die in factories. They die during exploitation. They die when crossing the Sinai to come to Europe or the Mexican. It's our job to tell their story in dignity and in respect. And I pray that God continue not only to give us the courage to survive, but to continue to be resilient. And also, as we stand, we commit today that not only are we going to be joined in prayers, but also to a continued sustainable relationship in our diverse work, that we continue to support, that we continue to leverage on each other as a way forward, because traffickers network. The one thing that I learned from New York yesterday, they said the only untapped room when it comes to human trafficking is the one that you've not opened. Let's be open to understand what each others are doing. And as we continue to pray, I thank you for this opportunity to be part of this call. And I thank you for all the work you're doing and across the world. Let's continue to have this collective fight. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Malika. Thank you for your deeply moving story and work in the world, and for your courage to take this stand to support survivors of human trafficking and to support the ending of human trafficking. So beautiful to have you with us. Thank you deeply. Thank you so much to all the amazing speakers so far for your beautiful, heartfelt, passionate contributions to this gathering. So I would like to introduce now our next speaker, who is Louise Shin, who's going to share with us on her topic, Fashion, Compassion, and the Power of Collective Prayer. Louise is a multi-award winning fashion designer, human rights advocate, EU Sakharov Fellow, Creative Society member of Human Rights Watch, and founder of the Open Story Foundation. So a very warm welcome to you, Louise.
Thank you so much, Joey. And thank you so much for Nasreen and Empowerment Collective for holding this beautiful talk on this very special day. It's truly my honor to participate and share my prayers with you all. And also thank you to all the speakers for your amazing talks. I've really learned a lot that you really touched my heart. I would like to use this moment to share with you some stories about fashion, about compassion, about the power of prayers. I was born in China, post China becoming world superpower, and I was growing up in a very humble condition. And when I was 10 years old, I moved to Sweden. And ever since I was a little girl, I dreamed of becoming a fashion designer when I grew up. I saw these beautiful girls in Miss Universe and fashion ads. I never dreamed of growing up looking like them, but I always dreamed of creating what those beautiful girls was wearing. Fashion for me was magic. It was glamour. It was beauty. It was like a Cinderella dream where a dress could turn the life of a Chinese immigrant girl, a nobody, into somebody people would later like and accept. Little did I know one day my dream will come true, but not in a way I could ever have imagined. And before that dream hits, I will first face some nightmares. I never went to fashion school, so my journey into fashion started with me moving to the capital of Sweden from a small town. I worked 2 part-time jobs, working in the metro station and working as a waitress in a sushi restaurant. I would work 6 days a week and spend my evenings and weekends taking photos with my photographer friends, dreaming to get my foot into the industry in any way possible. I will one moment be serving food and mopping the toilet floor inside a sushi restaurant, and next moment, as soon as I'm done with job, I would change to some crazy fashionable outfit and run out to meet my friend to create some creative contents. Slowly, I will finally start get some invitation to some fashion events and shows. And my very first job in fashion was a sales assistant in Prada. And just after 2 stressful years, I got burnout. In the world of luxury, glamour, and beauty, a world I did absolutely everything I could to get into, turned out to not be everything I dreamed of as a child. Fashion that was once a dream for me, up close, is this big, gigantic consumption machine where people would buy things they don't need to impress people they didn't know. Although it was also filled with creativity and beautiful hand craftsmanships, everybody in this huge hamster wheel serving this money-making machine was burned out. And not many of us could do anything about it. To the end, I quit my job as a sales assistant and decided to test my own wings as a fashion designer, finding a different path where fashion didn't have to be all about consumption and polluting and destroying our environment and the people who are behind the clothes. And as a humble attempt to inspire to a different consumption behavior, I created Scandinavia's first rent-only no-sale couture brand. I started to use curtains and vintage fabrics to make upcycling haute couture dresses. But it didn't start well. Just a few months after I embarked on my journey as a freelance fashion designer, then the pandemic happened. I was stranded in Japan. The world was in chaos and the borders were closed. It was a moment where so many of us had this wake-up call that business as usual is no longer working. The lifestyle and the way our society was built was not sustainable either for the people or for Mother Earth. And in the middle of it, my heart broke when I learned that 2 million of Uyghurs were being locked up in concentration camps and went through torture, rape, forced sterilization, and some of the worst human rights violation in the world. I couldn't believe it. As a Chinese, I thought that we were proud of our multi-diverse country where we have more than 56 different ethnicities. And after doing a research for nearly 1 year, reading every single article I could find and every single documentary, I finally found an amazing Uyghur family, a refugee family in Sweden, and they taught me a lot about their struggle, their journey, and I spent another year of trying to contact immigration offices, government, journalists, and with absolutely no success. Every time I would come back to them saying, I'm so sorry, they couldn't do anything. And each time I apologized for my failed efforts, they would say, thank you for trying. Finally, in the last desperate attempt to make the world hear those voices, I staged a fashion show and recorded digitally together with my friends. I also found Johar Ilham through a simple Google search of Uyghur activists. Johar is author, labor rights researcher, and an Uyghur activist. Her father, Ilham Tohti, is a famous Uyghur scholar and economist who spent 20 years of his life fighting for the rights of his people and creating peace between the Uyghurs and the Han Chinese. He was later sentenced to a lifetime prison and was taken away from her at the airport by force when she was just 18 years old. She grew up in the US, becoming an activist fighting for the rights for her people and an amazing labor rights activist fighting for labor rights workers all around the world. Johar also told me about the link about the Uyghur oppression and the forced labor camps, where 20% of the world's cotton was tainted with Uyghur forced labor, meaning one of our cotton garments or t-shirt that having in our wardrobe could be have made by somebody who is locked up and going through some of the worst human rights violations. So not only was the world silent about the injustice that was going on, we were actually profiting from it. The very industry that told women that we are worth it, that we are beautiful, and was letting itself benefit from the suffering other women who are going through some of the worst abuses happening today. And there was not with one single fashion magazine that was speaking about us back in 2021. It was something like out of magic, an answer prayer. October 31st, 2021, I posted this fashion show digitally. And after just 5 minutes after the show came out, people called in and cried, and it went viral on social media. Vogue Scandinavia immediately requested an interview, and the following 3-4 days, I did 2-3 interviews every single day. The topic of Uyghur forced labor that was once a non-topic that was silenced in the fashion world would hit the front pages of some of the world's biggest fashion magazines like Vogue, Habasasar, Elle, and Forbes. It was like jumping down a rabbit hole. 2 months later, I went to Congo together with a photographer friend. There I learned that 70% of the world's cobalt was mined by children under the most horrific conditions. I started to learn more about child labor within my own industry and got into contact with Nasrin Sheikh and learned about her incredible story, how she once survived child labor and forced marriage in the worst poverty conditions, and today is now dedicating her life helping girls out of the same situation. And I want to share these stories with the world. It was like another prayer answered when I was selected as a Sakharov Fellow by the European Parliament. The day before I arrived to the Parliament, they had a proposal on the table that forced labor ban was getting to be banned in the European market. In fact, Stockholm Fashion Week at the same time invited me to do a fashion show on the official calendar. And together again with my creative friends and Nasrin's powerful story, we created a show in fashion during Stockholm Fashion Week, raising awareness about child labor, forced labor, and modern slavery. That show was streamed in all countries all over Europe on billboards. People passing by fast fashion stores, shopping malls would hear the story of Nasrin on big screens and learn about where their comes actually come from. In her story, she said how she was, as a little kid, would sew up to 12 hours a day with her little fingers working like a machine, crying, praying that one day people who wear the clothes would hear her tears. And in that very moment, in that show, her prayers was answered. The year after, together with Nasrin and a Uyghur concentration camp survivor named Gulbahar Jelova, we staged the first fashion show ever in the history in the European Parliament to influence the forced labor bill and the sustainability corporate due diligence. 1 year after that, both bills were finally passed. Even those answered prayers were big wins and worth celebrating. The fight is far from over. In fact, it's more needed than ever. Last year, the EU's corporate sustainability due diligence was postponed, not because the moral urgency was disappearing, but because Europe wanted to keep its competitiveness. The implementation got a pushback and many of the original requirements was watering down. The truth is, passing a law was actually the easy part, but making it work and making real change is much harder. For this law to become a real tool, and not just a symbolic gesture, Europe needs its political power to stand up to the corporate pressure, to build infrastructure to trace sustainable supply chains properly, and the resources to reinforce accountability. Until then, the people suffering in forced labor camps and sweatshops would not get their life improved. Today, more than 50 million people are under modern slavery. Uyghurs are still being transformed into factories and labor camps all across China and continue to endure many of the terrible conditions while producing many of the products from solar panels to toys that we're using every single day. In Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Congo, and so many places around the world, children are still having their dreams taken away from them and working in sweatshops instead of going to school. In every war, conflict, genocide, poverty, as well as climate crisis, women and children are the most danger to subject to modern slavery and harder working conditions and life conditions. The world feels dark and frustrating right now, but through my relatively short but intense journey, I've learned and witnessed the power of compassion and the power of prayers. I've seen so many miracles happen and so many things we thought would never change. Because we are all human beings and we do not understand the world through numbers, facts, and statistics. We understand it through stories, human stories, the ones like with Johar, with Nasrin, and with so many people who have managed to turn their personal pain into collective empowerment. And for all of us, for business professionals to everyday consumers, we have the power and the responsibility to answer to those prayers. We own this responsibility to both ourselves and to those behind the hard work to ask where our product comes from. It's only through transparency, compassion, and responsibility of every single one of us, regardless how big or small our roles are, we can make the world a better place. I would like to close this talk with a prayer of gratitude. Think about a moment in your life you have received blessings. It can be as small as a smile from a stranger, or a helping hand from a friend when you needed it, or those people without whom you wouldn't have been here today. But most important of all, I also want us to give gratitude to those moments of sadness, trauma, challenges, difficulties, because exactly those moments that have shaped us, strengthened us, making us who we are today, and giving us a bigger reason, a stronger strength to fight for others. As a child, I dreamed of becoming a fashion designer. I was extremely lucky and privileged Thanks to Sweden, thanks to my mentors, and thanks to all the people who went out their way to lift me up, gave me this chance to choose my own path. This is a greater gift than any of them could know at the time. My prayer is that we as a collective, we give that the same gift to every child, no matter where they are born, what passport they hold, or circumstances they inherit, that they grant the same opportunity, the same safety, the same freedom to dream, to grow, to become everything they are capable of becoming. We might build a world where possibility is not a privilege, but a birthright, and every child's future is protected, nurtured, and honored. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Louise, for sharing your passion and how it has guided you through such a profound journey. Really celebrating your persistence and your courage for your voice to be heard. Thank you for sharing with us. So I'd like to now introduce Dr. Claire Dale, who's going to share her introduction to physical intelligence techniques. Claire is a movement and neuroscience specialist, director of the Physical Intelligence Institute, international speaker, and co-author of the award-winning book Physical Intelligence. With her team, she produces and delivers transformational face-to-face and digital learning experiences for leaders, coaches, and organizations. Her doctoral research shows that when you include the body, individual and organizational change happens faster and more profoundly. So over to you, Claire, and welcome to you.
Thank you. Amazing speakers. I've enjoyed today so much. I grew up close in age to my sister Gillian. She was born with the disability spina bifida, and actually my first career was as a dancer and choreographer. So you can imagine the disparity in our lives as children. I sometimes watched in horror as she was extremely ill, covered in plaster right up to her chest from her toes, and I watched in horror sometimes. I helped my mum all I could. I felt guilty when I played or danced. And I grew up with trauma in my body, not feeling that life was safe. And this is a theme that many speakers have already talked about in a very moving way today. I realized through my dance career, my first career, that when I wasn't moving, I was less happy. When I was dancing every day, I was able to process the chemistry, the stress hormones released daily by the trauma of memories overlaid in my body in what we call somatic markers. And this contributed to a lack of safety, a lack of sense of safety as an adult. So I studied movement and the inner chemistry of the body. I created the physical intelligence movement, and I've coached many people over the years to move through their past to get through their present and future and become active where they wanted to make a difference. So chemicals race through our body and brain, influencing how we think, feel, speak, and behave. We can boost and balance those chemicals. Chemicals racing through our body and brain influence drastically how we think, feel, speak, and behave. And we have agency over that chemistry. We can boost and balance those chemicals using our bodies, using movement, using breath, using visualization. And we've experienced that already today, changing our chemistry through meditation and prayer. But I'm here to tell you really that if we could understand and learn how to boost certain chemicals over others, we can create the chemistry of empowerment and connection that will support the movement for an end to modern slavery. So others have already said this. Today's world is one of more, more, more. I think it was Zoya that said, take, have more, be more, do more, quickly, now. And this world of consumerism is driven by a particular chemical cocktail. High cortisol, the stress and threat hormone that kicks in when we feel something is scarce and we're manipulated into greed. And then high dopamine alongside that cortisol, and dopamine is about reward and turns into addiction when cortisol is too high. So we consume more than we can give back, consuming at a fast pace. And the trouble is that cortisol also makes us tense and numb to human feelings. It reduces our ability to have compassion. So some potentially good people end up doing very bad things without the tools to change the way they're behaving. And this causes enormous suffering for victims of slavery. And that's something I feel committed to work towards changing along with Nasreen. So as Joey said, my doctoral research showed that various things about movement, and in order to produce action that will take us to the next stage of human evolution and solve big problems like modern slavery, what my research discovered was we need to resequence our human chemistry away from that cortisol dopamine roller coaster to prioritize first oxytocin, which is trust, compassion, and connection. And oxytocin also helps us collectively create a tribe towards a movement that matters. So in a moment, we'll experience how to get some oxytocin using our bodies. And the second important sequence, the second chemical in this important sequence is serotonin. Expansion, creativity, well-being. And only then, with more oxytocin and more serotonin, so personal safety, a trust in the world, compassion, then serotonin, expansion, creativity, well-being, only then can the dopamine system function as it was intended to evolve us creatively and positively into our next phase of evolution as human beings. So how do we get more oxytocin? Well, there are independent neurons in our heart. And if you take your fists and just give yourself a gentle pummel on the chest, just do this with me now. Those neurons in the heart muscle, like little diamonds woven into the heart, will start to wake up. What we know from research is that manual manipulation of this body area, the heart area, and we'll come to the gut area in a moment, will release more of the chemicals that are produced by those neurons, in this case, oxytocin. Now, to get more oxytocin and self-love and self-care, wrap yourself in a hug. So a good hug for self. Many people have talked today about the importance of self-love, self-care, and say to yourself, I am safe. Safe. Say it out loud. I am safe. And when you've done that a couple of times, the third part of this exercise is to do what we call a Kate Winslet, which is to open the arms and send the chest forwards, like our heart is moving towards the future. It's now releasing plenty of oxytocin. The chin can be raised and you can breathe. Expand the chest and feel your compassion and sense of togetherness with the rest of humanity starting to grow, that feeling of being connected and one. So when you come back to a normal stance and keep your chest open, you might feel more capacity for connection and coming together for the fight that needs to be fought. And finally, so that's one technique, the oxytocin technique, pummeling the chest, waking it up, self-hug, and then the Kate Winslet, as we call it. The second technique is really important and great for bringing serotonin into the body. Who doesn't want more creativity, more expansion, more sense of well-being? I'm guessing everybody. And in our gut, there are independent neurons down here that will release serotonin when we manually manipulate them. And you can do that simply by twisting the spine. So keep your knees and hips forwards and then twist one way and twist the other way and twist one way and twist the other way. You can do this slow or fast. Twisting, twisting, twisting. If you're standing up, you can let the arms swing around really free. And letting the center of the body twist like you're wringing out a tea towel, and the tea towel starts dripping serotonin that jumps on a nerve called the vagus nerve and goes up to the brain and lets us know that we're safe and happy and expansive, and it's safe to create, collaborate. So in this way, we create a system that means our dopamine function can work healthily to motivate us towards things that matter for ourselves and our communities. So my wish, my prayer is for us as a critical mass of people, knowing how to build high oxytocin in every cell of our body enables us to share how to create inner safety for others. I would like you to share these techniques. And when we have more oxytocin and more serotonin, we can resonate compassion and we can get together to create action. So my action every day is to make sure my oxytocin is boosted, my serotonin is ready, my dopamine is firing on all cylinders to get this job done. Who chooses how we are? We choose. Who chooses how, even with difficult circumstances in the beginning of our lives and difficult circumstances as children and adults, that we can recreate our sense of inner safety. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Claire, for sharing your brilliant research behind our traumas and the wisdom of our bodies, the beautiful wisdom of our bodies. It's so powerful. And for your simple and powerful techniques. So they're so easy to remember. So yes, thank you for the invitation to continue to create oxytocin every day. I'd like to just very, very briefly, if it's at all possible for you to do this in one sentence, if it's just one sentence briefly in the chat, to share your prayer for the world in just the short version in the chat. We'd love to just gather the energy from your conversations and invite you to share in the chat. So please go ahead just very briefly, and then we'll read a few out, and then we're going to move into some, an open mic to see what questions are here. Claire, would you like to read a few of these prayers?
Just in no particular order, Michael, our prayer is that all children and families have basic necessities: shelter, food, love. And Diana, I pray that those unseen women behind our consumer world will be seen and heard and healed and empowered. Yes. Dana, yes, awareness, compassion, collective consciousness for systemic change. It's easy to underestimate the impact of one person, but the resonance together, collective, is so powerful. Lois, prayer to recognize our choices, our purchasing choices can make a difference. One more, I can't resist Eric's one. My prayer is that those who are in darkness can see light.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for sharing your prayers with one another. And in the field together, we are gathering the energy here, and all of it counts. I think maybe if we can just see if there are one or two questions, just very briefly, we can touch on a couple of questions. If anybody would like to raise their hand, if you have a question, please do. I think we've had one just pop in from Michael. Thank you, Michael. Maybe we start there. How can we be of service to help moving forward? A beautiful question. Thank you, Michael. Who would like to answer that question?
We're going to Nazreen, maybe.
Thank you so much, Michael, for being here and asking such a beautiful question coming from you, because I feel like you are already always all the time in service to others, and the best being in service to other is recognizing that how much power you have in your hand and how you can help support the movement to end modern slavery, because this is not about one girl or one woman or one children. This is the story of millions of people, and this number is estimated. This number is increasing. This is connected to our global GDP. It's actually extracting these resources, these human dignity from these most underserved communities. Like my brother Bud, who was humanitarian, and he worked all of his life to be in service. And in the end, the way that his death was really because of the climate crisis. The entire a mountain fell off and his house was destroyed, and he went with it. And then so like, what was his fault, and he all he was doing is to be in service. And so we all need to recognize that being alive is a responsibility, is a gift. And how do you use it? A gift with complete mindfulness and pure joy to be in service. And that can happen, like we all have 24 hours to make a conscious choice on everything that we consume.
Thank you, Nasreen. Beautiful answer.
This was definitely our first global prayer, and this will lead us to our next meeting, which is in March 8th. And that would be really about demanding the mandatory supply chain labeling on the products, because right now, as many of the speakers shared, that we don't know what are we consuming. And it is very important for consumer they have the right to know, and they should know. And the fact that the company has not worked on it and have completely ignored that part of the supply chain, we need to ask more questions. And that demand of the labeling will happen on March 8th. This is a very grassroots, women-led, survivor-led initiative. Our voice is small and but very powerful. And if we can have all the allies help us, slowly grow in this movement to consume a product that makes sure that none of the suffering is going to our future children. And there are many parents, they care about their children. They want to make sure that the other people's children are also safe. So the more we demand for that, and the more we get together in a meeting like this, we will learn from other speakers and other people who are very grassroots led. We are talking from the experiences. So please join us on the next meeting in March 8th.
I wonder if we need to move to close now, Nazreen. Do you feel
we have to do the closing to Adeline. So Adeline will come next and she will share the closing remarks. And then we have a very special goodbye from Sahin Parveen. So we will all witness that and we will leave accordingly. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. If we had more time, we'd maybe invite some more questions, but I think that was probably a very
Yes.
important question that everybody wanted the answer to. So thank you, Michael, for that. Okay, so Adeline, over to you.
I know we're running short on time, so I'll keep my closing statements brief, but I just want to start by extending the deepest gratitude to all of the incredible speakers who have channeled their time and energy and knowledge into this space today, sharing their expertise with us so that we can all be better equipped to create collectively a future defined by justice, dignity, and empowerment for everyone, everywhere. It's incredible that these speakers brought such vast, diverse perspectives, experiences, and areas of expertise into this room today. And yet, through those different spheres that they're coming from, there are such strong through lines that weave together these powerful voices in their collective prayers for consciousness, for transparency, accountability, hope, and global systemic transformation. After these 2 hours, I'm feeling so full and grounded in these prayers that encourage us to stand inside of love and serve through it, as Nasreen started off this whole event with that sentiment. Prayers for the transformation of pain into purpose and passive hope into active hope. And prayers that every day we will feel the power of these small things that we can do, and so many more. I mean, there's infinite amounts of wonderful tidbits of wisdom that the speakers brought today that I hope you all are holding with you. And my prayer is truly for the duration of these prayers. It's that we don't leave them here in this room today. It's that we take them with us for the rest of our lives, and that they don't just exist in our words, but they are manifested into the world through our actions. I've been involved with Empowerment Collective for almost 3 years now, and I've seen so many lives changed and so many shifts in communities and cultures and mindsets around consumption because of people like all of you who show up today to hold this space and who build these practices into their everyday lives and who understand the power that we have to change the world through every small action. We know it can be overwhelming to know where to start. So I think that's the best way to start is just to join our mailing list and continue to be involved. We won't overwhelm you with a ton of emails, but just we'll, slowly feed you small bits of information that you can, so you can continue to learn and continue to think about this, because it's so easy to just sort of, hold it for a moment and dismiss it. But if you just sort of keep in touch and maybe every week or even every month, whatever you have the capacity for, sit down and think of what's one small thing you can do, what's one small way that you can incorporate things into your actions. And even, just putting it into your calendar now to join us for March 8th for this event to demand mandatory supply chain transparency so that companies can't keep getting away with a lack of transparency, and that, all of us as consumers can have empowerment to make choices and to know what's in our products, to know what we're in the systems that we're interacting with, and like the futures that we're creating and the presents that we're creating for people. And so, please join the mailing list. Please sign up for, put it into your calendar now, and we'll be in touch with you about how to sign up for March 8th. And I'm really excited to pass this on to Sahin to sing us a song, because I think I'm thinking about Zoya's piece that she talked about today, where she spoke about the story of her singing in community in the face of fear, and through that, like how that gave her a sense of internal freedom. And I think that that's such a beautiful sentiment to hold. And just so overjoyed that we all get to share this space together as Sahin sings us one of her beautiful songs. So off to you, Sahin.
Hello, namaste everyone. My name is Shine Praveen, and I work in Nepal and India 15 years in the ground, and we produce lots of different types ethical, sustainable product. And today I want to say, as we've seen like Black Friday, everybody have the like expectation to like purchase, buying, like happy how they find. But I want to say like I wish like we could have this Black Fridays talking about how this fast fashion, how this purchasing is effect is our environment, effect is the people's dream is killing. It's still like how painful it is to in the ground to produce those all the things. So collect that's all the information, and we can have that Friday to like share about like how painful it is to produce this all the product and bring those real story how is these days the people are suffering, the 50 millions people in a modern slavery. So I write one song for today, and I'm very, very happy, so excited to share to all of you. And I want to dedicate this song to my best and very, very nice who help us a lot is Bod Hopson and Lucas. He work a lot with our life journey. He give a lot of hope and then training. So I want to sing now. Thank you. So forgiveness is our freedom, and love is our healing. Forgiveness is our freedom, and love is our healing. When we hold each other softly, the peace found is lovely. Let our heart glow with compassion. Forgiveness is our freedom. Love is our healing. Forgiveness is a gentle light, guiding through every night. My heart is soft and slow. Love will find you as you grow. Forgiveness is our freedom. Love is our healing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shane. Beautiful. Wow. What a wonderful way to bring all our prayers together and send the energy out. Blessings to you all. May our prayers go out and be carried by the winds. May we meet again. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a beautiful evening.
Bye, Nazreen. Thank you for bringing us all together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again.